A wrap-up? Who is she? Hello there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here after my entirely long hiatus. I'm pretty sure a couple of videos have already come out since this one, but this is the first one I'm filming actually after the hiatus. A lot of the videos that came out previously I had recorded before my hiatus and just never edited them. But I want you to have them, so they're there for you. And here I am for you today. My hair is longer than I want it to be. Let's just get started. Okay. Today I have a triple wrap-up for you because I didn't do a wrap-up in September or October, and now it's December, so we need a wrap-up for November. I did film originally the wrap-ups for September and October. They just never came out. So instead, what I'm going to do for you today is give you a triple wrap-up. You've probably seen some of these books in vlogs, and that's basically why the wrap-up never happened, because they all came out in vlogs, and I was like, well, what's the point of a wrap-up, because I wasn't reading very much. It was a very hard time for me reading-wise. I didn't read as many books as I have wanted to read by this point in the year. I'm not focusing on that. I'm not focusing on any kind of negativity. It's just not happening. We're moving on. We're moving forward. I have some good books to talk to you about. I don't remember what September and October are about, or rather what books I read in those months or how well those reading months went. So I'm just going to send you back to past Mackenzie, the September version, and then past Mackenzie, the October version, and then you'll come back to me and we'll finish up the video. Okay? Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Does the end of September officially mean that I only have 3 months to achieve all of the goals that I wanted to achieve in the year of 2022? Yes it does. Does it also mean that I have achieved at least a good portion of it to where I could be happy with it? No, not a chance. So I'm trying really hard not to think about it. Instead, I'm thinking of new goals. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Numbers suck. 7 4-stars, 2 5-stars. It was a pretty great reading month. I enjoyed most of all of the things I was reading, if I didn't read as much of it as I wanted to. I finished 2 series in this month, sort of. The 3rd book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I read half of it in September, finishing up the other half in October. As of right now, I think I have about 150 pages left of the book. So far, so good. We're enjoying it. After I finish that one, that will be my 2nd completed series. First completed series being the Paula Santiago series, that trilogy as well. So I am happy about those things, and I think that moving forward into the new year and these next couple of months, I'm going to be doing kind of like different goal setting and reevaluating videos of my inventory. Like, how do I even call this a TBR? This is an inventory. So let's talk about my books. So these are all of the books that I've read. Here's 8 books here's 9 books, and let's get my numbers straight, Mackenzie. Here are 8 books. I read one of these books twice, making it 9 books, and then the half book is over there. I'm not going to pull it out because it's over there, and I'm sitting down over here. First, we have Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I figured this is a 3-book trilogy. They're all about 500 pages. It's going to take me all month to read it. You're damn right. So I started with this book. I finished it. I am going to link the reading vlog up above in the cards because that should be coming out. It's the video before this one. So if everything went according to plan, I gave this a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. It was sweet. I really enjoyed the writing and the themes and the conversations that we were having. And not gonna lie, I did enjoy this kind of retelling of Romeo and Juliet. It was a vibe. Then I picked up Prime Meridian by Silvia Moreno-Garcia because I'm not starved. I'm kind of starved for Moreno-Garcias. The Garcias that I get are few and far between, and I feel like at this point in my journey, I'm nearly finished. The only thing that will be left are the couple that are coming out here and there, any new ones. Finish this one. I have this one. I think there's one more that'll be coming out this year. and any new ones I'll need to catch up on. And then the only thing of the backlist that I'm waiting on, I believe, are the anthology series that she has either edited or written herself. I gave this one a 4-star. It is so small, but I really, really enjoyed these conversations that feel so layered that I couldn't just elevator pitch it to you. Really, it's about this girl who is, you know what, here it is, here it really is. It's this idea that the grass is greener on the other side. Is it really? Do you only think that? And we're playing with that idea. But in this case, it's not just the yard next to yours, it's Mars. She knows that the Mars in the movies is not the same as Mars in real life, but it's about her reconciling the two Marses and deciding to make change for herself. And I loved it. I loved it. I don't even know what genre this is, because it's not really sci-fi. It's kind of sci-fi because they can live on Mars, but she's stuck on Earth and there's nothing really different. It feels very contemporary with this idea that you can run off to a sci-fi land, and it also kind of spoke to me as a reader. So I just love. If you are interested in getting into Silvia Moreno-Garcia and you're not sure where to start because all of her books are a little bit different genre-wise, let me know in the comments. Let me know what your kind of genre type typically is, and I will tell you where to start, because no one should think that there is not a Moreno-Garcia out for them, because there is. Then the next two books that I finished were Paula Santiago and the Forest of Nightmares and Paula Santiago and the Sanctuary of Shadows. These are books 2 and 3 in the Paula Santiago trilogy. I read the first book in my first year of BookTube in October as well, so it felt only fitting that this reading vlog came out this year to finalize the trilogy. So I will leave that reading vlog up in the cards for you. I put that out in September, so I think it was just last week or the week before. But I really enjoyed doing the reading vlog. I really enjoyed these characters. Childhood healing. It's amazing. Then I read A Treacherous Curse by Deanna Rayburn. This is number 3 in the Veronica Speedwell series, and after I read it again. I love these books, and I'm reading them twice for a few reasons. Not only because the writing is there, the humor is there, the character development is there, the pining. When pining is done well, I could read it forever. Forever, as long as you do it well. I don't care how long it lasts. But this is so good. I felt like even though I could make it, I could sit here in the, not taking anything even further for a very long time. Not everybody can, and I feel like this still made steps in Stoker and Veronica's relationship to not just leave them at one step, but each book they kind of take another step towards becoming more of a, I guess, partnership. So in this one, it is the 3rd in the series. Like I said, Veronica and Stoker are investigating the disappearance of a man. Like any historical romance, it's always like, we got married and then we're slowly falling in love. And this is much more like, we are friends and I care about you. And that's why I love you, because you're my friend. And amazing, spectacular. Mwah. 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars both times. You can't convince me otherwise. It was perfect. I'm not changing a thing. I'm not changing a thing. I'm reading it back to back. They're so good. I did a Veronica Speedwell 1 and 2 gush. I'll link that up in the cards for you. And I am also going to be doing a 3 and 4 gush, in which I will gush about this one like I just did. Also the 4th one. Then obviously I got to the 2nd book in this trilogy, Days of Blood and Starlight. This was much thicker than the first one. I continued to enjoy the themes. I felt like this one got a lot darker. Content warning for on-page attempted sexual assault. It was rough. I took out the audiobook, skipped the chapter. Not good. Hated it. It was awful. And it really left a sour taste in my mouth going into the 3rd book because it happened towards the very end. Chapter 71. There's a moment where you kind of know it's gonna start happening, and after that you could just skip. You can just skip. And they kind of, because of the way book 1 was written to be a bit mysterious, and in book 2 she tried to keep the mystery a little bit more alive, but instead of it being like a mystery to the main character, it's the type of irony where the reader doesn't know what's going on, but the characters do, and I don't care for that at all, especially in this setting. So I wanted to give a nice giant content warning for that, because nobody else is going to give that to you. It was definitely not in the book. So after that, I needed something different. And so I got something different. This is Spirits Abroad by Zen Cho. This is a collection of short stories. I annotated the fuck out of it because it was so amazing. So there are 17 short stories spaced out to be here, there, and elsewhere. And that was a beautiful way to kind of set up these stories because it tells you where the settings are. So in the short stories here, they're in China, in Malay. And then there, we're in places like Japan and London and Britain just in general, I would say. And then elsewhere, we're taking place more in like the spirit realms and those kinds of places. So I really enjoyed all of these short stories. There wasn't any that I like outright hated. Most of them got a 4 or 5 star. There were only a few that got 3 star. In the description of the review in my Goodreads, I will put the star rating for each short story in there. So if you're really curious, you can go in there and check. But I really, really enjoyed this. There were a few that were scary. There were a few that were like horrific and haunting. A lot that were just full of good themes and good conversations that were happening. I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it an overall 4 star because there were some 3 stars and only some 5 stars. So majority 4 star short story means it's a 4 star short story collection in general for me. But I really enjoyed this. I'm very pleased with every Zen Cho that I've read so far. And I know it's really just this one and The Order of Pure Moon Reflected in Water. But this one had like 17 short stories in them. So now I feel like I have a really good understanding of the author Zen Cho and their kind of writing. So I really enjoyed this, and this was a great way to end, I guess, the month, because I was still reading Dreams of Gods and Monsters, but this was really nice. Like, I could read a couple of short stories here and there in between reading sessions of something that was a little bit more heavy, and this could just really be a fantastical immersion for me, and that's what I really loved. It was fantasy and mythos and of things that I don't know, you know, so any, I guess, like, person who's familiar with Chinese or Malaysian myths would understand what a lot of these are, and then like it's a reveal to me because I don't know, but you know, it was really good, so I really enjoyed it. October has been the month truly that has shown me that if I do not DNF, I do not read. It's been a problem. It was awful. So let's just start at the beginning, just like we always do, and we'll make our way through my reading journey for the month. So in October, I was finishing up Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. I don't have any of my ratings up for these ones. I think I was telling you guys a little bit about it in my September wrap up. It just really fell off for me. I didn't appreciate the lack of character growth, the fact that we were repeating things over and over and over, and I was getting hit in the head with the theme over and over and over. It was awful. I just, like, I got it. I got it. Great. Thank you for ruining not another series like Laini Taylor has ruined multiple series for me, but this is yet another trilogy that has just been ruined for me as the books go on, and I'm just so disappointed. And truly, I feel like trilogies are cursed for me. So this was a 2 star. It's not worth it. Read something that came out recently. This was just old. Then I decided that it was time. I really wanted in October to do both my Frankenstein and Dracula reading vlogs. It didn't happen. October was very busy. There were a lot of things, and also I got sick a lot, and I couldn't really breathe. My bronchitis was acting up. This is the most I've been able to speak in a while. So I started Dracula, And I also started Frankenstein. Dracula by Bram Stoker, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I did not read Dracula in high school. At my high school, you either read one or the other, and I read Frankenstein. I gave both of these a 3-star. I did enjoy Dracula a little bit more. I felt like the way that Dracula was being told in like found documents, journal entries, newspaper clippings. It was really interesting the way it was being told. Is my lighting going out? Hopefully not. I can barely see. And Frankenstein was a reread for me, so I already knew what to expect. I feel like both of these have great things about them after the fact. Like there are themes and discussions and interesting ideas that have been brought up that you really only appreciate after you're done reading the boring material. So it was classics. It was rough. At that point, I decided I needed to pick up A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Rayburn. This is Veronica Speedwell number 4. I love it with everything in my heart and soul. 5-star. I read it once and then I read it twice and I were 5 stars both times. It was just absolutely perfect. I think this is first book in the Veronica Speedwell series that I gave 5-star. If I gave another book 5-star, it would have been the 3rd book, but this one really felt like a culmination of a lot of things that were happening. We were discussing things about Veronica and Stoker's relationship, coming to a culmination ahead. We were getting character development out the wazoo. It was just so good, and I really, really appreciate how each installment of this slow burn romance is just making the fire burn hotter. It was wonderful, astounding, spectacular, amazing. Gush is coming soon. And then before getting to the next 2 classics that I was going to attempt to read, I decided to read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. My audiobook finally came in for it, and because it is sold out everywhere and everybody wants to listen to the audiobook because Jeanette McCurdy narrates it herself, it was either now or never. So I decided to drop everything and read it. It was very, very sad and honest, brutally honest. We're basically following Jeanette McCurdy before and after her mother died. And her mother died from cancer, and while her mother was still alive, was a child actress because her mother wanted her to be. And a lot of what she did was because her mother wanted it. And it is a very, not long story, but her life is a story of abuse and a lack of love, and it was very, very heartbreaking to read, but wonderful to see someone become so strong because of something like this. And it was also nice to hear, in a misery loves company kind of way, that not all mothers are the best, and not all mothers do what is best for their children. Not all mothers deserve all of this extreme understanding and intense gratitude just for you being here. So it was nice to hear somebody else's tragic mother story, frankly. Then after a brief moment of 5 stars, I run into the roadblock of my life in October. Paradise Lost by John Milton and Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. After having read Dracula and Frankenstein, which are already classics in and of themselves, these ended my career. These put me out. I was done. I tapped, we were over. I couldn't pick up another book. I couldn't read words after this. I didn't even finish them. I got to book 2 in this one, and I got to chapter 2. So like 76 pages and like 18. And this is like an epic poem about like the fall of angels and them corrupting humankind because they're upset with God. And then this is about, I don't even know, probably a man and a woman falling in love and they're awful. But like, I could not even. I can't. It's not happening. I'm not a classics girly. I'll never even attempt it again. I apologize to myself for trying to force myself to read books that I wasn't interested in, and therefore preventing me from reading good books that I would really enjoy. Because the next book that I read after this was a 4-star. Hey, guess what? I do like reading when it's something I actually enjoy. The tragedy that is classics and our contrived belief that we should read them. Boo. Tomato, tomato, tomato. Welcome back, chickadees. Okay, so I've got a couple of books to talk to you about. Stats, who is she? I don't know her. We are not friends right now. I'm not paying attention. I'm not looking at it. It's how I'm going to maintain happiness in my brain. As always, in these wrap-ups, I go in order in which I have finished the books that I read in that month, not in the order that I started them, and definitely not in star rating order. But I will give you star ratings. The first book that I finished was Frankissstein by Jeanette Winterson. And not often do I feel like I'm too stupid for books. Like, almost never, right? Because a lot of the times, authors are writing books and they're trying to be metaphorical about it. And so, as long as I just kind of let my brain glaze over, you know, when you're looking at those, like, pictures where it's, like, a bunch of, like, Mickey Mouses, and then if you let your eyes glaze over, then you could see the big picture. It's kind of what I do with some of these, like, higher academic books, right? Okay? Not saying that this is what this is, but it does have some, like, I don't even want to say time travel, but, like, some interesting sci-fi possible elements, which is further interesting because Frankenstein is technically a sci-fi novel, because she is doing, like, bringing people back to life kind of stuff, but it's not necromancy because she's not using magic, she's using technology. It's kind of sci-fi even though it's historical. So in Frankissstein, we are following two perspectives. We're following Mary Shelley when she starts writing Frankenstein, and then also we are following Rye, who is a transgender doctor who is falling in love with a person called Victor Stein in, like, Brexit Europe, right? So it's kind of like more current day-ish than obviously Mary Shelley. And these two timelines do intersect in a very interesting way, which is why I'm saying, like, maybe I didn't understand entirely the ending. Like, I could tell you what happened, but do I know what it means for the rest of the story? Not really. It was very, very interesting, though. I felt like it was really well written. It was a interesting conversation being had on transgender people. I don't know how this is coming off to you. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I thought this was really well done. I think what really keeps it from being a 5-star, because I think about this book a lot. A lot. I think about the characters and what does it mean? What does the ending mean, Mason? But there is an on-page rape scene that was so, I felt, out of place and unnecessary and somewhat traumatizing to me. I understand that being on the genderqueer spectrum puts you at a higher risk of being sexually assaulted, but I didn't need that description. This book isn't being picked up by people who aren't already aware of this conversation. And so to have it in the story, especially when after the fact, it wasn't further brought up in the story, nor played a role in the plot, or had anything to do with anything else, except it was just there. So I felt like not only I didn't like it personally because of my own experiences, but I also felt like it was pointless in the story. So I still give it a 4.5 star. I do go into spoilery details in my Frankenstein vlog. I don't know where that is coming out in relation to this video, but if it's already out, I'll put it up there. And if it's not already out, I'll put it down there when it does come out. And then after that, I picked up Lore Olympus Volume 3. I love this fucking webtoon. I love these cute bind-ups that have been coming out. I am not getting the hardcover. I do not hate myself that much. These softbounds are already so freaking heavy, I can't hold them. I'm not getting the hardcover and almost possibly letting it drop into my face. I really, really enjoyed this volume because it is the everything kind of falls apart arc, you know? This volume has my favorite kind of mini arc for both Hades and Persephone, where they're both kind of tying up loose ends of their past lives so that way they can be together. I did feel like in this one specifically, a lot of things were like out of order a little bit. Not out of order, but I read the webtoon. Like, I have a predetermined way that I feel like it should go in order, and some of the plot lines don't complete each other, like they're interwoven, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. And in fact, it's how you tell a good story. But it threw me. That's all I'm saying. I still gave this a 4 stars, so don't worry about it. I loved it. It was great. All right, next up. I've been in a huge reading slump, if you couldn't tell. That's why there are no videos that are coming out. So after I read Lore Olympus, I was like, it is time for another not book. This is The Nightmare Before Christmas, a manga by Jun Asuka. I gave this a 5 star because Nightmare Before Christmas is the perfect story. I felt like, well, this is such... The movie is like an hour and 20 minutes long. This manga is maybe like 150 pages. It zooms through, but it doesn't leave out anything aside from kind of like the songs. There are a few choice lines from the songs that everyone loves to sing along to, and to let you know which part, like when we're getting to the song. But June also goes ahead and creates dialogue for that scene and kind of puts it together in a way that isn't musically. I did really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the artwork as well because, you know, it's creepy and silly and gross, and I really enjoy it. And Oogie Boogie, love me Oogie Boogie. So I really enjoy this. If you don't know what Nightmare Before Christmas is about, this is about a fantasy world where this is about a fantasy world where there are different doors to different holidays, and once you go through the door, it's like this whole town that like creates the holiday for the world. And we have Jack the Pumpkin King, who is king of Halloween Town, and he stumbles across Christmas Town, and he is very excited because he has been very empty inside because he's bored. And so he's like, maybe we should give Christmas a try. And it's great. Then next, I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and also in this, particular book, I don't know if it's in all of the books, but at the end, it's not just a epilogue, it is called An Encore of Roses. On Goodreads, it's its own separate mini-story, so I counted them both as 2 separate stories. I gave both of them actually a 5 star. They were, like, absolutely perfect. So amazing. This is told in letters to an unnamed person we are to presume is Dracula. I did read this for my Dracula reading vlog. I think that is already out. If it is, it's up there. If it's not, I'll put it down there. I really enjoyed this. It is told from the perspective of his first wife, a woman that he turns into a vampire when she is on the brink of death, and we go from there and we follow their life and how he slowly turns into a very abusive husband in the mental, emotional coercion type of way. And then also how he ends up bringing more wives into the situation. The wives really never have a say of where they go, who they see, what they get to do, and it really starts to bring them down. And then it's about kind of like this tale of strength between all of the wives that he has. This is a highly sexual book, and I'm trying to like decide, like, there was no like sexual assault or coercion, kind of coercion, but it was very interesting. Vampire stories always straddle that line of like consent and non-consent in sexual actions and relations because of the way that blood is also incorporated with that. I will say that as someone who is rather sensitive to explicit sexual violence, this didn't feel like that really at all. It did make me sad in a lot of places, and my heart broke, but it wasn't really like that bad, in that kind of traumatizing way. So more so, I would say, if you are not already into vampires and sexy times, this is probably not for you. But if you are, or you think you might be, this is absolutely for you. This was 100% amazing. It also slightly references some things in Dracula, the original story by Bram Stoker, which was a treat. And since I was still trying to get through all of the books that were on my Dracula and Frankenstein reading vlog mess situation, I was continuing to read manga. Do I show you this? I can show you this. There's nothing too explicit on the cover. I read Dick Fight Island Volume 1. It is exactly what you think it is. It's exactly what you think it is. Whatever you're thinking, yes. Look at this cover. This is so strange. This is Sweeping the Nation. There are only 2 volumes of this. I have them both. The second one came out like 2 years after the first one. So when am I supposed to read the second one? Like right now? And then I'm out of Dick Fight Island. This story follows 8 champions. There are like 8 islands in, I guess, the Pacific Ocean. Very nondescript. Very like, they just exist. Don't worry about it. And the world just doesn't really know about them. So there are 8 islands, and they are all like ruled by a king. To choose a king, each island must send 1 champion to compete in the Dick Fight Island tournament. They call it something else. Protect their mighty swords with armor that grows larger and more elaborate with each tournament. But one warrior has returned from studying abroad with a technique certain to force a pleasurable eruption. Is there a competitor alive able to withstand it, or is this deft warrior destined to become king? I think that's all I'm going to say, because that was the most appropriate that this is going to get. When I went to Barnes & Noble, these were like shrink wrapped. They were like, you are not seeing this. You are not allowed to look inside. And girl, I just turned to a random page. Dicks. More dicks. Oh my gosh. The armor is unsheathed. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I'm not going to sit here and recommend this to you. I'm just saying, I thought it was amazing. Jesus Christ. And some of these penises. I gave this a 4-star. Moving on. Reluctant Immortals by Gwendolyn Kiste. I fucking loved this. This was amazing. This was spectacular. I gave this a 4.5 star. This follows 2 characters. Lucy, who is a character in Dracula, who Dracula turns Lucy into a vampire. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, Lucy is turned into a vampire, and all of the humans that were once her friends killed her, along with Dracula. And then we are also following Bertha, who is from Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester's wife, who he locks in the attic in Jane Eyre, and she sets the house on fire. And I'm sitting here, I know Dracula was supposed to be a horror, but I'm pretty sure everyone talks about Jane Eyre like it's some sort of romance or something. And after reading this, not having read Jane Eyre, mind you, all I'm sitting here thinking is why does anyone still read Jane Eyre? That is problematic as fuck. Mr. Rochester has a wife, doesn't like her anymore, locks her up in an attic, finds a new person that he wants to have a relationship with. I'm pretty sure she ends up moving into this house. It sounds very Rebecca. And then Bertha sets the house on fire. And I'm pretty sure at the end, Jane Eyre and Mr. Rochester end up together. This book does so much to mitigate the damage done by a woman writing that story. What? I really enjoyed this book because this has a lot about feminist talks and women being there for each other and men ain't shit, and a lot about how women will always have to be punished for the stories of men. And oh my god, it was so good.
It was really, really good. I felt like it kind of meandered towards like this area where there wasn't like a lot going on. And then there were some points where it was just like, we're being mysterious just to be mysterious. And it's like, if I read Jane Eyre, it wouldn't have been that mysterious. But like, it was a little bit like that. The ending, heartbreak, but also happiness and hope. But I was just so, it was good. It was just really, really good. And I think the only thing that really keeps it from being a 5-star is like, I really would have loved more about why these two women continue to live. Like, they kind of just play it fast and loose. Because like Dracula and Lucy, yeah, they're vampires, they live forever. But Mr. Rochester and Bertha, why are they alive? And why would they continue? Anyways, moving on. There's more spoiler talks about that in the Dracula vlog. Then I picked up The It Girl by Ruth Ware, because it is part of the Literally Dead book club that I, like a couple months ago that I didn't read from. And you guys, I hated this. I got about like 70-ish pages in. I DNF'd it because this character reminds me a lot of the main character in 1 by 1, but also the main characters in The Lying Game. This also reminds me a lot of The Lying Game in the sense that it is this dual perspective of when they were in school versus now that they're adults, and how like these full-grown adults refuse to acknowledge the issues that had been going on when they were in school. And I really don't appreciate the stupidity. The stupidity, the self-pitying, the self-loathing main character whose head I'm stuck in, and it's the same plot from The Lying Game. I don't care for this. I'm pretty sure if you like The Lying Game, you'll probably like this one. And hey, if you liked 1 by 1, you'll probably also like this one too, because these main characters are basically the same person. I don't want to be in their head if they're going to be that way, you know? Please pull me out of their head. So I DNF'd this because I'm already in a reading slump, and I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm very upset because this is a hardcover book. So I don't know if I'm going to get rid of it right now, or if I'm going to try again later, or if I'm going to attempt to sell it. So we'll see. Finally, the last book that I finished in November is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. This is a duology. I'm not finishing it. I think I hate it, actually. I don't know what I currently gave it on Goodreads. I don't have it on my list right now. I think at this point I want to give it like a 2.5 star. This was really garbage. It was really bad. This title, Anatomy, a Love Story. It implies that somewhat this should have romance elements, where I need to like both of the main characters to then root for their relationship, and I should believe in their love. None of those things. None of those things. Our main character, what's her name? Hazel. Hazel acts like she is not in 1800s England. And in a historical fiction, like, I always want my main character women in a historical fiction to push against the gender norms and what is expected of them to do and to be as women and as ladies of the time. That does not mean that I want my main character to act like she doesn't understand why certain things are the way they are. And then she was 17 or 16. She was acting like a 16-year-old of the 2020s. Not a 16-year-old of the 1800s. Because I understand in the 1800s, there weren't really children, right? Because the children thing didn't happen until the 80s, when they could market to a whole other group of people being children. In the 1800s, there were no children, or there were no, like, you know, teens or whatever. It was like you were taken care of until you were married, right? She acts like she's just like, well, I have all this time. No, bitch, you don't. You're 16, and I'm pretty sure the life expectancy in Edinburgh in 1872 is gonna be about 30 years. You're not living very long, and especially as a doctor, you know you're not living very long. So you have no excuse. I'm getting so heated. This was so stupid. I hated the character work in this. So she was an idiot, and then we have Jack, who's just there to fall in love with her. And like, they have Goose egg in common. Nothing in common. The first time they spend more than 20 minutes together, they end up making out. And I'm like, okay, teenagers, but fucking what do you mean? And then like plot happens. And the ending happens. And I hate it because it contradicts itself. It's one of those, when we're in front of each other, I'm saying one thing, and then later, I'm gonna send you a letter saying something else. Fuck you. Fuck this story. This was garbage. I don't recommend. Sorry to end on such a bad note, but that's where I'm at right now. I can let you know that also in November, I did start Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin, which is great. I'm doing this physically, which is like kind of a new thing, not a new thing for me, because I used to only read physically, but I've been very much mixed media, audio booking it mainly, and then looking at the story when I have a moment. But I've been reading this physically before bed, and it's quite a treat. It's very scary. There are a lot of things where like a sentence will just happen, and things will be dramatic and like crazy, and I'm like, wait. What? You can just do that? Like, one sentence is everything's fine, and the next sentence is someone's face is open like a Ziploc bag, and I'm like, what the fuck? So this is amazing. So I'm hoping that December is going to be a better reading month for me, because September, October, November, they were what they were. We're moving the fuck on. Here's the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!